What are dreams and why do we dream? These are questions that every single person asks himself at one point of his life, but the problem is that we don't usually get an answer, and we might go our whole life without knowing what the dreams actually are. This is why this video is dedicated into looking up what dreams are and how we can use them. Dreams are one of the most interesting part of our lives because they're the things that always stay with us no matter what. We always dream. It's been scientifically proven, everybody dreams, and every single time we fall asleep we start dreaming, and we're 100% sure that that life or that experience is 100% true. It's real and it always has been. Even if we know that we're dreaming, or if we're wondering if this is a dream, our doubts if it is real or not always diminish in a matter of seconds. We always know and are sure that the dreams are the 100% true. The only thing that makes us differentiate them is when we actually wake up and say that this doesn't actually make sense and it's not part of my life. This is a dream. We actually have a logic to establish what was a dream and what was an actual experience, but when we fall asleep, there we go again. We go back in and we start experiencing, and we don't resist. We're actually in the dream. So what happens when we start to dream? Science has shown that our brain starts producing the same activity as when we are awake, and in the so-called REM sleep we start dreaming. REM is rapid eye movement, because every time we start dreaming our eyes start moving in different directions, and that's why it's called rapid, because it's actually very rapid considering what we would expect from when we're sleeping. You usually think that nothing happens, right? Because you're always wake up at the same place. Well, the reason for that is because when we are sleeping and when we're dreaming, we enter a phase in which our neurotransmitters are blocked, suppressed, and we can't move any part of our body, and it seems that the only part that we can actually move are our eyes. And interestingly enough, our eyes start moving something like we're looking at something, like we are examining something, or like we're reading something. It's very interesting to see when you actually look at what rapid eye movement looks like. So scientists say that we actually dream in the other phases, but our most bright and meaningful dreams are during the REM sleep. It's interesting because during REM sleep, like we said, our brain is as active as it is during the day when we're awake. And once a person has been woken up during his REM sleep, all of the people that scientists have woken up during their REM sleep have said that they were just woken up during a dream, and they have more clear memories of what the dream was. This makes me think and focus on the fact that our brain really doesn't actually make a difference between what a dream is and what a real world is. It combines them in a similar way that makes sense. If you think about it, there are many cases that in which when we fall asleep and when we start dreaming, it's like we're continuing our day. It's like we haven't gone to bed or we haven't gone to sleep, but we've continued our day with some other tasks that we've been doing. I just wanted to focus on the fact that the brain does have the logical connection between what a dream and real life is. It equalizes them in a very interesting way that makes us forget that they have a difference. Now, analysis of the dreams have shown that we're actually dreaming things that are connected with the things that we've experienced during the day, or the experiences that we have before we have gone to sleep. And this is why I assume that scientists have reached the conclusion that our dreams are about our day. But think about it. There's another interesting part about dreams that is unclear yet. The cortex becomes active when it receives some impulses which source is still unknown to this day. And these waves practically stress out the cortex in a manner that brings it up into activity, and it starts assembling the information that those impulses represent in a way that it would make sense. And since the cortex is the part of our brain which holds our memories, filters, and the logic with which we adapt in the surrounding environment, that's the information that it can use. Respectfully, that information is actually memories, knowledge, experiences, emotions, everything that we already have passed through. And naturally, the memory that would be most accessible to it would be the most recent one, which is the day before. Also, there's a theory called reverse learning, which dictates that during our sleep the brain is actually assembling the information that we have received and and rearranging the connections that we have made. It's connected with us making decisions on what should stay and what should go out. The things that are positive and productive are being assembled in the brain so that the connections can become easier and we can adapt new habits that will help us in our development, and the information and connections that might be harmful or negative to our development are being thrown out and forgotten so that they can be replaced by new information and experiences that can be more useful to the individual's development. This is what reverse learning is about. All of this, the REM sleep, the reverse learning, and the fact that we're adapting information into our brain makes me think about Neo when he was learning Kung Fu during the Matrix. And although his eyes don't move as rapidly as it's usually been recorded, the situation is very similar because, like I said, it's unclear where the impulses that provoke the cortex come from. So those impulses actually provoke the cortex to activate and assess the information that they represent, but there's no scientific knowledge or conclusion where they're coming from. And that's a big question, right? And another thing, how do we know what's good or bad? If we've made a connection, we would naturally assume that it's a good one, and we have our logical reason to have that connection, right? We don't typically make decisions out of lack of logic. We always have either a habit or a logical conclusion on what we should do. So where does that information come from? How do we know what is good or bad? Since science doesn't have an answer, let's look into something that's been represented in a lot of sources, and although they are different, they all circle around the same object, the pineal gland. The pineal gland is referred to as the third eye and the object that provides us information and is a portal to other parallel realities that can be more expansive to our consciousness. This is why we're focusing on it, because it's the only source. And however many sources you look, be they esoteric, spiritual, or whatever, except for maybe scientific, you will always see that it's referred to as a source of uplifting information that can actually help develop the world around us. But we're going to look into the interaction between the cortex and the pineal gland in another video, because this one is about dreams. So we're going to finish by looking up why is it important to interpret our dreams after we wake up. Considering what we've said to this point, we have already discussed that the brain assembles the information and already knows what we should do in the future. But why is it important to interpret them? Think about it. Once we wake up, we either forget immediately, by the way, and this piece of information is for all the people that think that they don't dream. This is scientific. Everybody dreams. We just don't remember the dreams. So we always remember, we always assemble the new connections, but once we wake up, we almost immediately, and by almost I mean if it's not immediately, it's in the next 5 seconds, disregard the dream, which means that we disregard the connections, we disregard the information, and we actually continue in our old way. How does that happen? In order to make a decision, who do we consult with? We consult with the most available to us information. Which is it? Memories, experiences, emotions that we've already had. But since those memories and emotions have led or probably led to the wrong decisions that we might have thrown out in the reverse learning process of our dreaming, we might actually make the same old connection and bring about the same problem that we've experienced before. This is why the dreams might start repeating, because the negative assumptions and connections that we make in our brain are the reason that we have problems. And in order to heal ourselves, we're supposed to let them go. But if we continue to make conclusions and decisions based on the old information that we have, there's no way for us to come out of that loop. And that's why once we wake up and forget and disregard our dreams, we're prone to go back to our old habits, which is a bad thing. Which is a bad thing, especially when you consider the fact that we provoke our own problems that way. So in order to know what we should do and how we should change our thinking and which connections to disregard and change, we should interpret our dreams in order to see what their meaning is and understand what our next tasks and what our next tasks are, as well as the ideas that we should focus on. Now, if you're wondering how you can interpret your dreams, there's already a video in this channel that you can look up to see how you can interpret your dreams, as well as if you're looking for examples on how you can do it, I've uploaded some videos that can help you with that as well as a file that you can use to see how I interpret my dreams. Now, this is important to mention since the dreams are based on our own logic, right? The cortex uses the information that is stored in our memories, experiences, and it's using our logic to assemble the information. Respectfully, the interpretation will be largely based on our individual logic. This is why we can consult with outside sources, but the basis should always be our individual logic. We can't rely on the other sources to tell us what our dream means. We're the ones that have to do it. And of course, it's not just interpreting the dream, it's always acting after we interpret it. It's important to develop that habit if we would like to develop a more free and expansive life. This is where I'll be leaving you. If you think that this video is useful, click the like button. Maybe share it with friends so that we can help more people together. And if you're interested to go deeper into the dreams, subscribe to the channel, as well as you can also click on the bell so that you can receive a notification when the next video is up. Until later.